What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with the VS4-10 Chassis TRX4 build. I covered this one a while back. I covered gearing on it and kind of just the actual build that I did on it. This is a VS4-10 chassis with SCX-10-2 links, except for a couple of links in the front, which allowed me to directly swap on the TRX4 portal axles. So kind of a cool little build here. 3-gear transmission in the middle with dig on it. And I put this blue Power Wagon body on it. I really like the way that that looked, but how I cut up the bed in the rear, I wanted to build some kind of low slung pre-runner style tube work. And this was months ago that I put this thing together and I haven't touched it. But now I've finally gone through and kind of drawn up the design that I wanted for that rear tube work. And I've got that ready here, kind of show you a little bit of what I was thinking. So this is the design work that I've got. You know, you can kind of just see the, style or build that I'm going with. All of this will basically be below this fender line, or kind of right underneath of that fender line. These fenders will kind of hang on that. I'm actually eliminating the rear shock towers, and the shock tabs will get built into the tube work that will go here. The shocks will actually mount between these two parallel bars that run through the center of the chassis, and then I'll probably add some sort of detail there after I actually get it built. This is just kind of a simple view for fabrication. This should actually be a pretty simple cage build. Everything is a single bend plane, so I've got one hoop here that goes in the very front, which will kind of sit in this area, just kind of low around there. Then we've got these long straight tubes that will go all the way down the side with it, just a single bend there. They'll run all the way down, and those will be kind of like my bed rails. They'll run down the side of the chassis. And then from there, it's just mainly bracing and tie-in points to the actual chassis. So I designed this up. From there, I created drawings, which is what we've got right here. So this is a view that is flat to the bend plane of that top tube, so that I can put my tube actually on it and create the exact bends. And then since it's all in the same plane, these tubes here will all actually be able to be built off of that as well. That will make that fairly simple. I made just a couple of copies, since I do assume that I'll burn some of these up. This is just a template so that I can make that front hoop exactly as I've drawn it. Same thing, couple of copies of that. And then this is just a simple top view. The top is completely flat on this, so there's not much to it. I'll just kind of use this to make up my individual pieces, and we'll just kind of fit by hand as we build. Nothing too complex or crazy. That's the actual plan for it, and like I said, I think it should go fairly fast. As long as I have enough gas for my TIG, I could have this done today. We'll see. I'll be using my Northwest Scale Designs chassis table with a VS4-10 that I've got bolted into it there. That will allow me to put the parts right on there. I can weld everything while it's in place there. That's one of the original prototype chassis rails, so I can, it's unpainted, but that's my plan for the build so far. So I'm gonna head out into the shop and see what I can get fabricated. Alright, so I've bent up the hoop, the main hoop, and I've got it put into place on the chassis. Now, I took and I put one of the front shock towers on so that I could check the body position with the body that I already have the holes drilled on. That way I know that this bar sits where I want it in the back of the cab. So I've kind of test fit that, taken it off, and I feel good about this position. I know that it's square. I know that the angle, I think I've got it laid a little bit more forward just because of some slight differences, but I'll be able to roll with it because this is pretty simple. So now I'm going to, I've got the TIG on. I'm using solid rod here because of how tight that bend is. I'll be using my TIG somewhere around 60 amps. And then my filler is silica bronze. So I'm gonna get I'm gonna get the tube welded there at my tab on both sides, and then we're gonna roll on to the next one. More good progress. We've got the cage at least welded and mounted in all points. So from here I just need to start adding the bracing that I had designed, and then lastly the shock tabs. But that's it, and this is going fairly quickly, but I am almost out of argon. Like if it hits that little peg, I'm done. So it's a race. We'll see how close I can get. Is done itself. Now I just need to do a little bit of cleanup. I'll use the flap disc on my Dremel, and if I need to, I'll hit it with the flap disc on the grinder, but for the most part I think it should clean up, and then we'll hit it with some primer and paint, and I'm going to mount this thing up. All right, so I think we're all done. The only thing I didn't do was add a body nut or anything like that to the back side for these fenders, and I feel like I should do something there. So maybe I won't prime and paint it tonight. Maybe I'll leave it like this, see if there's anything else that I want to do before I really finalize it. That way I don't have to worry about stripping it and coming back. But give you a closer look here. So with the body off, it's just a real low slung rear portion here. You know, it's below the, I mean, it's basically at a battery level. So nice and low, nothing crazy at all. Just sits real clean back there. And then when you put the body on, the body slips over it everywhere. Make sure it's on in the front there. And then back here, the body hangs over those ends. Everything's just nice and clean. I have my shock tabs in place already. But like I said, it's just, I wasn't going for anything, you know, big and visible, just something kind of cool and low back there, you know, open enough so there really isn't anything dragging back here, but it does extend behind the chassis a little bit still. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's pretty much what I was envisioning, I think. I'm pretty happy with that. I would like to add a detailed plate here of some sort, and maybe some aluminum panels just to kind of fancy it up in general. Haven't 100% decided, but I think I'm going to leave it like this just until I completely decide. That'll give me a chance to, you know, think about it some more, see if there's anything else I really want to do, how I feel about it in general. But so far, I'm pretty stoked. I think that this was a nice project. It took me a few hours to knock that out, so one more project moving ahead just a little bit. You know, it wasn't a huge battle today, but I think that it's getting this truck much closer to what I had envisioned. Just another simple fab video of a project we had going on. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.